All right, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this really brief webinar that we're conducting here, just to kind of show you all what kind of resources that the UC Davis C-STEM Center is putting out there to help everybody during this brief period where we're going to be transitioning towards a lot more online learning and remote instruction, and really just trying to contain ourselves into smaller spaces to help prevent the spread of this virus. So the very first thing that I want to quickly go over is the layout of this stream that we're doing. It's on YouTube. The left-hand side of my screen here, this is the video stream that you're getting, but the right-hand side, this is a chat window. If you have any questions during this this webinar or any of the future webinars that we do, go ahead and put your questions in this chat. I will warn you, there's a little bit of a delay between when I'm talking and when these when you see what I'm saying, and so there may be some time between when you put a message and when I respond. But don't worry, I will do my best to get to any questions as they appear. So, without further ado, I just want to quickly go through what kind of systems we have available for teachers. In order to transition to online learning and remote instruction, you can use our online platform called Roboblockly, which I'll do an overview here in a couple of minutes, which is a block-based coding environment for learning math, science, engineering, robotics. We've got a lot of activities built into there, and it's really a full-featured system for remote instruction. And so what we're doing is we are offering Roboblockly accounts to K-12 teachers. Any teachers can sign up for an account. In order to do that, you can go to our website, which is c-stem.ucdavis.edu. And then at the very top of our homepage here, we have this little announcement saying C-STEM's extending online and remote learning resources to all K-12 educators to support the transition to remote instruction. If you click on that link right there, it's going to take you to another form that you can fill out on our website. You fill it out with your name and your school information using your school email. And what we will do is we will send you some more resources, such as getting you set up with a full access Roboblockly account. We'll get you set up with CSUN Studio and CH Professional, so that you can start to distribute these resources to your students and get them all set up to be able to start learning online. In addition to all of that, inside of our CSTEM Studio software package, we have a robot simulator called RoboSim that you're able to use with your students. And then we also have a lot of robotics, some basic math curriculum, and computer science curriculum, programming curriculum, all that can be done remotely. So for Roboblockly, that's our block-based coding environment, that's able to be used on any computer that has access to the internet. So Windows, Mac, Chromebook, iPads, it doesn't really matter. The CSUN Studio, however, that's going to need to be used with a Windows or Mac computer. And so it'll be a little bit more limited what you're able to do with your students remotely through CSUN Studio, but Roboblockly should be much more widely available and readily usable. Now, one thing to keep in mind as we're transitioning to this online learning format is that we really do not want to assume that our students are able to access everything remotely, that they have a computer, that they have internet access. What we really want to do is try and create as many resources, or at least provide as many resources for these students as we can, whether or not they may have a computer or internet at home. And so most of what C-STEM is able to provide are resources that rely on having that computer or internet at home. And so you would also want to supplement what you're doing for these students with other activities and resources. So I also want to talk a little bit about how you can structure your online instruction to make it a little bit easier for students to follow and understand and get help when they need it. And so I really I want to encourage you to utilize systems like Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams or whatever system your school is using. And most schools nowadays have some sort of online platform for sharing files with students, for creating assignments or putting out announcements. And I really encourage you to start using those systems more now than ever, because that is really going to pave the way for how really education is finished up for this academic year. So as you're going through and doing this, it's really important for you to create some guidelines and set some expectations for your students. So what you might want to do is think about things like, what are the students doing to find any assignments that you're creating for them? Are they checking their email? Are they going into their Google Classroom and seeing what you have? You also want to think about where they go when they have questions. Do they send you an email? Do you have like a text document in Google Drive or Microsoft Teams that they can type in their questions and get answers both from you and from other students? Create some sort of a structure for where they're going to be turning in work. So if they're typing up any Word documents or programs on their own computer, you need to have a set place kind of written up for where they're going to put it, what kind of file formats you want them to have it in, and create kind of like a set of standards for them. And you don't have to be super elaborate with these standards. It can be something simple as creating a Google Drive folder and saying upload your work to here, make sure it has your name in the file name followed by the assignment number or something like that, just to create a little bit more streamlined structure to the environment here. And then what you'll also want to do is you'll want to create some sort of a documentation for this. So wherever you have the students turning in work, if it's a Google Drive folder, for example, just create a simple Google Doc that says like README or documentation or FAQ or something, and write down all of this information just in really brief, maybe bullet points or something simple, saying how you want the students to proceed with this, so that they can get as much out of their remote learning as they possibly can. And then what you want to do is also make sure that you are not reinventing the wheel. I know a lot of online learning and remote instruction is very new to us, and so it's really tempting to say, all right, this doesn't exist yet, but it's really easy to kind of jump in and want to start creating your own video lessons and your own additional online resources or anything like that, I can tell you already it's really challenging to do that, and so I highly recommend finding something that already exists, like what I'm going to show you here in a couple of minutes with our systems, or there's numerous other platforms available that have additional resources for this. And try to use what's already built as much as you can, because people with a lot more practice with online learning, who've been developing online courses and curriculum for years, already have a lot of systems in place for an event just like this. So what I want to do is first start off by showing you what systems inside of Roboblockly can be used. And the question came up, can homeschool parent educators sign up? Yes, I believe homeschool parent educators can sign up, but they would have to do it utilizing their school information. So you'd have to coordinate with whatever homeschool organization you're using to be able to get that email address set up so that we can send you all the appropriate information. Thank you for the question. So next up is Roboblockly. So Roboblockly, again, is our coding environment. It's our web-based, block-based environment. And you can go to just roboblockly.com. That's ROBOBLOCKLY.com, C-O-M. And when you open roboblockly.com, you're going to get to this online learning platform. And it can be a little bit overwhelming your very first time looking at it because there's a lot of different things on the screen here. So in order to ease the transition and get you jump started really quick and easy, if you look along the top here, we have two different menus. We have a curriculum and portal menu on the left, and then a standard home and other menu on the right. And if you were to click on the tutorials section here, we have a number of different tutorials available to teach you how to use this platform. And so if you were to open this and go to the interactive tutorials, for example, we have a bunch of interactive tutorials here that will show you all of the basics of how to use this platform. They have little pop-up messages that say something like drag the drive distance block into the workspace, and you can see the workspace is here. So I just click and drag this out, and then it moves on to the next step, which is click run to move the robot. And you can see it's starting to simulate the robot in this environment. And this entire tutorial is designed to make it so that you can have your students go through this process without you having to be there or walk them through it, because it's going to, again, guide them through step by step and get them started. And I will say a lot of students nowadays already have experience with block-based coding or even some written coding, and so they're going to pick up on it really, really quickly, and it's going to be a very easy system for them. And then to kind of help bridge the gap here, I do want to show you really quick. Roboblockly here does show what the written coding would look like as the students are going through it, and so it's a really neat system here for the students. In addition to interactive tutorials, we also have a number of video tutorials and lessons for how to use different aspects of Roboblockly or how to create different programs here. For example, if I were to scroll down here, we have it's like a 13-minute video lesson on how to draw a bear using the different Roboblockly blocks. And so we have tons of resources here, and I highly recommend that you try to use those because they really are going to be advantageous to you. In addition to these tutorials and video lessons and everything, we also have a lot of activities and curriculum available through this platform. So we have Hour of Code. If you were to click on Hour of Code, we have a number of different Hour of Code activities throughout there. We have a free curriculum section, which has a bunch of different subjects: robotics, coding, math, Arduino, L-Arduino, which is LinkBot Arduino, kind of combining robotics and sensors and starting to create much more advanced sensor-based robotic systems. We have projects, which goes into a lot more arts and music and design and just kind of having a lot more fun with the online platform here. And so if I wanted to support my students with any of these different subject areas, I could go through and say, let's look at some math activities and say maybe I want to go into geometry a little bit. I could go and say, all right, we're going to have them create this activity doing a turkey tail here in the block-based using a bunch of different shapes that we have. Or we could go into Algebra 1, and we have a number of activities in here for helping students learn things like the area of a rectangle in a coordinate plane. So that's everything that we have available that's normally out there for free for the students. If you were to fill out that form on our website and get the full access that we're offering to any K-12 teachers that would like to explore these resources and use them for their students, after you get that, you can sign in using the Sign In button. And after you're signed in, you're going to have access to a few different sections of this Roboblockly platform. You'll have access to the curriculum portal here, which is a little bit more well-structured courses designed to be more of a self-guided instruction than just a blanket list of activities. For example, if I were to go into this Robotics 1B course here, we have a number of activities starting as simple as just driving a robot forward and backwards in this little simulator. It goes through changing the robot's speed, driving it for a specified amount of time, and then driving forward and backward using different command blocks, turning it to the left or to the right, starting to navigate it in a coordinate plane, starting to create some repetition and using loops to start to create really neat patterns or have it move in regular intervals. Starting to play music with the robot or changing its LED color. And so there is a pretty thorough robotics course here. We also have the Robotics 2, we have Coding 1 and 2, and then we have a bunch of math courses here for supporting kindergarten all the way up through Algebra 1. And so, for example, if I just took a quick look at this kindergarten class, we have section 1 starting to count numbers and objects up to 10, counting up to 20, up to 100, starting to count, but not starting at 1 to build from those skills. And it really does scaffold and build off of the previous skills constantly. And so it's a really good opportunity, especially when you're not able to be there in person with the students, to give them the opportunity to practice. And you could go through any of these additional courses that we have here. Again, this is all being offered to help support teachers during this difficult time. So in addition to that, we also have a activity portal here, and this activity portal is basically a blanket list of activities where you can search for any kind of topic or subject or standard or keyword that you want, and it'll pull up any activities that have been created in this platform here. So if I click on search activity on the left menu here, it pulls up the search menu, and I can search for example anything with math, and maybe my keyword could be I don't know, circumference, or let's say perimeter. And if I search, it might pull up any activities that we have that have keywords of geometry or perimeter in them, and I can go through and look at all of the different details for those activities. We could also, if we would like, we can create our own activity. This is a little bit more advanced. We'll probably go through this in another webinar in the somewhat near future. But this is how you can create your own activities and submit them to Roboblockly so that you can have your students work through really anything that you want. And it's a very full featured. You can set up all the board. You can set up different prompts for the students. You can set up even potential correct answers, or set up restricted blocks so they can only use specific commands. There's a lot of details to this activity creator so that you really can customize the instruction for your students if you're not able to find what you want in our activity portal. In addition to all of this, just to make it a little bit easier to navigate with your students and keep them going, we have this My Classes section, which goes into our classroom management portal on Roboblockly, where you're able to start to create a class, enroll your students in that class, which gives them a sign-in password and everything so that they can access Roboblockly, and then you can create assignments for them, keep track of their work, grade it, give them feedback, and do it all through this online platform. So I'm just really quickly going to navigate through a shared class that I have here, and shared classes are classes that you can create a class structure with assignments and everything, and then share that with another teacher, and it'll share everything except for the students with that other teacher. And so I'm going to take, we have a number of class templates here for Coding 1 and Robotics 1. I'm just going to go ahead and take this Robotics 1B course, and I'm going to copy it to my classes, and it tells me it's been copied. So if I now go to my classes, I have this Robotics 1B that was just created today. I can edit it or share it or do anything that I want, but I'm going to navigate into it by clicking on the title, and from here I can go in and enroll students, create student groups, grades, assignments, etc. To add students, I click on Add Students, type in their names following these instructions. To add assignments, I would click on Manage Assignments, and I would create a new assignment or look at one of the number of assignments that are already created for this shared course. And when they're highlighted blue like this, it just means that they're not open for the students. They're closed assignments. The students can't see it. And I could just edit one of these and say, all right, these are the problems that I have, moving forward with one block, finding the largest prime number, carrying materials back to a lab, and it has all these different activities that it's having the students do. Some assignments may have the students working through curriculum or through new programs, so it's just a problem statement that they get with a blank Roboblockly slate to build whatever they want, or just user input to have them type in an answer. So I could then change the status of this assignment to be open, and then any students in the class would see this in their assignment, and they'd be able to go and submit their work to those assignments. You could also group students together so that you are differentiating a little bit. Maybe you have some students who are a little bit more comfortable, do work on computers all the time, maybe are already exploring code.org a lot more. You could put them into a group and give them more difficult activities to work through or challenges to work through, just to differentiate again and make it a little bit more suited to their ability. And so you could just add as many groups as you want, separate the students into groups, like group 1, 2, 3, however you want to label them, and go from there. You could also manage a gradebook, so any activities, any assignments that you have will show up in your gradebook with a grading menu, and all you got to do is click on the title and you get this full grading menu so you can leave feedback for your students. I'm getting an echo effect. Let me see if I can figure out what's happening here. Thanks for pointing that out. I appreciate it. Give me just a couple of seconds. It looks like my internet is having a little bit of trouble keeping up with the stream. So I'm going to see if I can close a couple of things and keep it running. Despite the echo effect, I really hope that you guys can still hear what I'm saying. And what I might have to do is investigate this echo effect for the next webinar that I do. And I'm planning on doing a number of different webinars over the next couple of days. But I don't think there's anything that I can do about it right this moment without stopping the stream. So I'm going to carry on. If it's too bad, please put another comment in the chat, and I will take a quick look and see if there's anything that I can do, maybe reduce my video quality or something. Okay, excellent. Thank you. So then, carrying on, you could go and grade the assignments, leave feedback for the students, and it'll put it all into a little gradebook here, and you could even download that to import into any other system. So there's lots of opportunities here for supporting your students remotely, and again, all you have to do is fill out that form on our website, and we'll get you set up with an account so that you can start exploring, and then I'm going to be doing more webinars in the very near future, I want to say over the next week or two, going into more details about different aspects of this platform. So, moving on just a little bit further, in addition to Roboblockly, we are offering full CA Professional and CSUN Studio licenses for teachers and students' personal computers. That way, it makes it a lot easier to transition from using school computers to using your own home computer for this this program. And so, if you were to download CSUN Studio from our website, we actually, if you fill out this form, we send you more details on how to download, how to install and activate with this free license that we're doing. And so once you get that installed, you will have CSUN Studio on your computer here, version 6.5.0, and so CSUN Studio, I will go into this in more detail in other webinars, but in short, we have a number of different software tools on the left-hand side here, and then our workspace in the middle is where all of our working files will go. And all of this is actually offline, and so you won't be able to see directly what the students are doing here in CSUN Studio. And so this is where setting up that Google Drive folder or anything like that will become very, very helpful. Because if the students were to start going through one of our courses here, like our Learn LinkBot course, which is our learning robotics course, we have a full textbook inside of this folder. It's included in our CSUN Studio download so that the students will have full access to the textbook even when they're not in the classroom. We have a number of sample programs. If we go into the program folder, going through all of the different examples that we have in the textbook, starting from driving the robot forward using a few different commands, printing out information, playing music, changing LED colors. And I know it can be a little bit challenging to think about how you're going to get the students to work with any kind of robotics remotely. And on the left-hand side here, we have this software tool called RoboSim. And if you were to just open up that software tool, this is our robot simulator, which will make it so that students can still program robots even though they're not in the classroom. So if I were to reset my settings to default here really quick, this is the normal environment that students see. They can change where robots start. So if I go to 0, 0 for this robot, using its X and Y coordinates, and then maybe say it starts facing 90 degrees, so it's facing kind of up along my Y axis. Now I have this virtual robot set up and ready to go and be simulated in any kind of programs that I create. And I can make sure that the simulator is going to run by just making sure this virtual robot's radio button is selected at the top here and keeping RoboSim open in the background, and that will tell the computer that any program that I run in CHIDE will use virtual simulated robots. And so now if I were to run through any of our drive distance examples, I can open them in CHIDE. This one actually looks like I had made some modifications to it, but when I run it, my simulator will pop up and I'm still able to keep working like I would in a classroom. Not perfect, but I think it will work really, really well to keep students engaged and working through their schoolwork while they are at home. And then what you can do is have the students start to create programs. Maybe have them create a separate folder for all of the work that they're doing. They can right-click, create new folder, and say class 1 or whatever your class is. And in there, they can create any kind of programs that they want. And then if you were to take these programs and upload them to, say, Google Drive or Microsoft Teams or Classrooms or whatever, again, whatever platform you're using, you could then download it and run it on your own computer and create a little bit more of a collaborative effort there. And again, it's all going to be new. It's all going to be a struggle to get started with, and I wouldn't expect it to go perfectly or even go well the very first time that you try it and jump in. But again, this is a new experience for all of us. We're all learning to do this together. What it's going to do is it's going to really help build your students' skills and abilities to be patient, because we're working with new systems, but it's also going to make them or at least help them to persevere a little bit, because they're going to have to do a little bit more troubleshooting on their end, a little bit more setup on their end, and it's going to hopefully start to help them become a little bit more independent with their learning, which will help them in the long run. And so I think that's a little bit of a quick overview of all the different systems that we have here that are available remotely. Again, all of CSUN Studio here is available to be installed on any Windows or Mac computer. Teachers can create their assignments and distribute them however they find fit using whatever systems their schools are using, and every school is using a different system, it seems. And then from there, it'll be a learning experience, and we're here if you need any assistance with the Roboblockly or CSUN Studio. And I hope this was a very informative session for you. And I will stick around for a couple of minutes if anybody has any questions. And what I will plan to do is I am going to schedule a number of additional webinars like this, again going into more detail on different concepts. So if there's anything specific that you want me to talk about in more detail instead of this really brief overview, then I will discuss those. So the question came up, are we canceling or postponing the 1-week institute or workshops in June? As of right now, we have not finalized any plans for June. We are going to have to wait and see how conditions change over the next couple of months. We still have a lot of time. Conditions are changing daily, so it's really hard for us to say if we will be able to offer the workshops in June or not. So we were really hopeful to, but we're monitoring conditions and we'll have to make those decisions as we get closer to those workshops. Any other questions while I'm still here on the stream? Question came up, what software are we using to do all of this? If you're meaning do the live stream, I'm using, I actually can't remember what it's called. It's OBS Studio. It's a streaming software for overlaying video and links directly into YouTube. For the online instruction and all that, we're using the Roboblockly and CSUN Studio. One more thing before you all disconnect from the stream, I do want to point out, if you want updates on these webinars, when they're scheduled, what the topics are going to be, if you go to our website, cstem.ucdavis.edu, and you scroll down just a little bit to view PD schedule, it's underneath this nice picture here. If you click View PD Schedule, we're going to be listing all of the webinars that we're conducting here. We've got a number that are in the works but not scheduled yet. Mostly we're going to be targeting math and robotics instruction. But if you have anything, again, anything specific you want to see, let us know. We have a contact form here that you can fill out, and we will let you, we will take that feedback into consideration when planning future webinars. So once again, thank you all so much for joining us for this really brief overview of the resources we're providing. Things are changing constantly. We're adding new all the time, and so keep your keep an eye on your email. We're going to be sending out more information as we have it available over the next couple of days and weeks. So have a wonderful rest of the day. If you have any questions, you can email us at any time, and stay healthy.